Who wants to run at 4 o'clock in the morning? I don't want to get up
Nobody,
at
not
4 o'clock
me.
in the morning,
Not
but
me.
you do it like you love it. You know what I'm saying? That's discipline.
Welcome back to the Talk at Elevation. Today we're joined by Chrystal Starling, Director of Youth Development at Urban Dove and founder of Star Power International, an organization focused on mentoring and developing student athletes, helping them gain exposure, build life skills, and navigate opportunities at the next level. From playing and coaching basketball at high levels to now guiding young athletes, her work is all about using sports to create confidence, leadership, and opportunity. Thank you so much for joining us, Chrystal.
Well, you're welcome. Thanks for having me. This is exciting.
Of course, we're so glad you're here with us. So let's start at the very beginning. What inspired your shift from playing and coaching and for youth development?
I believe that started at a very young age. When I was in high school, I had a coach that was amazing. She was tough. She was a no nonsense coach. She knew my family. She knew the pedigree that I was bringing into the gym, and she wanted to bring it out of me, and I was resistant. It was like, hey, I know how to do this and that, and so that was very hard for me. But once I understood what her purpose was, it was easy for me to just fall in to say, you know what, let me listen to this woman and let me see where she can take me and how far I can go. And once I understood that concept, I realized that, coaches are important. They're very important in the development of who you are, who you want to become, the model that you see every day, um, the character that you want to bring into the space. So by by knowing her, it allowed me to say like, hey, this is something that I may want to do later down the road. I just didn't know when, and I didn't know when that opportunity was going to come. But I always remembered the purpose that she brought in the gym every single day. I never forgot that.
That's awesome. Having someone so inspirational like that just constantly like flew throughout your life that's really important.
Yeah, you couldn't forget her. You couldn't
Unforgettable, some
forget
would
her
say.
her voice. You couldn't forget just her sarcasm. You just couldn't forget it.
Chrystal, tell us a little bit more about Star Power.
Yeah, so Star Power originally was formed about 11 years ago. I ended up taking a men's pro team to Austria, and it was more so just trying to get them pro contracts. I had a contact there. We were able to get one person signed, which was amazing out of 8 players. But when I came back, I want to continue. I want to try to get all these players that we had. I want to work to gain more contacts, see who I can connect in Europe, see what ages I can connect to. So it didn't really work out the way I had planned, but through all those calls, late night calls, early morning calls, because I was still in the time zone in Austria, I built contacts for the youth programs. Those agents or those coaches that I was speaking to, they all had youth programs. And they asked like, "Hey, have you ever thought about trying to get kids, to the States, in terms of playing high school basketball or college basketball?" And I said, "No, I never thought about it, but I'm open to listening." So when, after having those conversations and asking more questions about what they do, how they're doing it, and I was already coaching high school basketball. I was living in Sacramento, California at the time, and coaching high school basketball. I started to just look at, players and ask questions with the athletic directors about the I-20 status and how do you get international players here. So Star Power really formed there. I just didn't know what it looked like. It was just the idea of it. And then I had left Sacramento and moved to China. I, I moved to
Wow.
China. I coached in China for about a year and 3 months. And I met a basketball scout there, NBA scout Rodney Hurd. I met him out there, and he was actually hired to help a student get to a university. The family was very wealthy. They were paying him to stay at their place, and they were paying him to train him and paying him to connect him to a university in the States, a high profile university, which was Cal University at the time. And he ended up getting him into Cal based off just knowing who he was and just his word. And that was like, ding, okay. It's all about reputation. It's like, okay, I need to know more people. I need to know like this process. I coach junior college basketball, so I kind of understood some of the intricacies of just recruiting and those things. So I was like, I need to know more people. And so when I talked to him about the breakdown, the internal workings of what that would look like, he was like, okay, this is what you need to do. And I said, okay, well, let me get going. So, uh, you know, that was an eye opener for me. And then I ended up transitioning back to New York. I ended up moving to New York City, working AAU, and just kind of forgot about it. And when I left again, and then I went to Radford University. Then I started coaching Division 1 basketball, and so that really opened my eyes out in terms of organization, structure, of just recruiting, character, just everything you're looking for in players when players are interested in all those things. Then I came back to New York City, and when I finally got settled and felt like it was the right time, I said, I'm going to incorporate Star Power. So it took about 11, 12, 11 years at the time for me to really get all those ideas and formulate them and build a curriculum. So I retired from coaching on the sideline in 2024, and I put pen to paper and I was like, I'm gonna build this curriculum, and I built Star Power curriculum, hired lawyers to incorporate me and copyright my curriculum, just make sure I was good to go. Because I had all these years and all these ideas, but it was all over the place, and I had to condense it and formalize it into a program that can reach the world. So that's what
That's
basically
awesome.
that's how I created Star Power.
Before we move on, let's talk about something every serious athlete needs to pay attention to: your digital footprint. Fanday Nation has just released a powerful new tool to help athletes make sure their social media profiles are fully optimized and recruit ready. Today, coaches aren't just evaluating game film, they're evaluating character, leadership, and maturity online. This resource gives you a step-by-step roadmap to clean up your profiles, highlight your strengths, and avoid common mistakes that can cost opportunities. If playing at the next level is your goal, don't leave your online presence to chance. Go check it out now at fandaynation.com.
Wow.
Wow, that's amazing. You've lived everywhere, it sounds like. How did just moving all across the world and just living in all these different places kind of change your perspective on not only athletes, but the networking process and just going through all the things you went through?
People, learning about different cultures, people, how people navigated through societies, generosity, conversation, those things go a long way. And a lot of the individuals that I spoke to back, 5, 6, 7, even 10 years ago, I'm now able to reconnect with them and say, hey, I have Star Power, this is what I want to do. And all of them are embracing this idea. Every last person that I have relationships with, 5 years plus, they're all embracing this idea, and they're just waiting like, hey, like, let me know what you need from me. And it's not even about, hey, you got to pay me this. It's like, no, I don't care. I believe in you. I know who you are. You've been doing this a very long time. You've always said you're going to do what you said you're going to do. I trust that, and let's move with it, and that means a lot to me. That means a great deal to me. So that's how I move. Um, I reach out to, yeah, obviously I have to understand my lane in terms of what I have the bandwidth for, because I can't do everything. So just being able to bring people in that can carry some of the weight, so the business can be effective and it can be efficiently ran. And so that's all the traveling that I've done has been able to get me to that space, to be able to do that and be able to trust that process.
That's awesome. I bet you just grew and just learned so much about yourself personally, too, through that experience.
I learned how to be by myself. I learned to be
That's true.
comfortable, like, go to cafes by yourself, go to the movies by yourself, sit at a restaurant by yourself, and not really care, and just enjoy life, and I think some people pay attention to that, where, they feel overly critical for that. And I'm like, listen, let me just be here. And I learned my own presence is actually really good, and I can be okay with that. So anybody that comes in it, I can give that good energy to it, because I'm okay with me. I'm confident with me. Now, are there some insecurities there? And some, absolutely, I'm a human being. But the courage to go out there and take those risks has allowed me to overcome those fears and a lot of those insecurities that I had in the past. And there's always some new ones that develop, but because I know what that feels like to get through it, the process becomes much smoother.
So, with that, how are you approaching these student athletes? How are you building that confidence for them?
Having conversations with them, finding out exactly what they want to do past basketball. I hope to, indulge in other sports, but right now it's like, okay, what do you want to do? Like outside of basketball, who are you? When I was coaching at Radford, that was fun for me in terms of learning more about the recruiting process and what the head coach wanted in his locker room. Asking him questions like, what type of character do you want in your locker room? And so you ask a lot of character questions. And a lot of the young people that I speak with, some of them don't know outside of basketball what they want to do. So my goal is to kind of dig a little bit and ask more questions and get to know them a little bit more. And then we kind of bring basketball, wraps the sport around that, because then now they can see there's more out there in terms of, what they can do with basketball, if they can do these things really well.
Yeah,
It's important to have a life outside of sports, for sure.
for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
What do athletes often misunderstand about playing at the next level?
The their character, intensity, training, taking care of their bodies, recovery, preparing themselves, preparing their mind, their bodies for that next level. What you do in high school, you're not going to be able to do in college. I know that because my freshman year, I thought I can do the same thing, do things last minute, go to, work last minute, show up not really ready to go, train, ready to go, not in shape, and thinking that I can just make it through. No, you get exposed very quickly. And so, having that information and having that type of training and the language is just different when you go from high school to college. It's just different language that's being spoken to you, and you got to embrace that, and you got to get it fast. Everything moves so quickly. And if your mind and body is not ready for it, and you're going to fall behind, you're going to be exposed, and most likely they're not going to ask you to come back. They're going to say, hey, we have some other options for you, but this is not one. And that's the phrase you don't want to hear. So with Star Power, we try to wrap all those programs around you, so that way you have some knowledge of it, so when you go you can say, hey, okay, this is what they were saying. And so your mind is prepared for it, because I can't tell you what that coach is going to do in practice. I can't tell you. I can give you an idea what they're going to do, but I'm not there with you. But I can work to get your mind ready for that hardness, that challenge that's coming towards you.
We're proud to celebrate women who lead on and off the court. Nico Stones welcomes new brand ambassador Sophie Zidell, a standout basketball player at the University of Colorado. Her exclusive edits is all about confidence, strength, and the style that moves with you. Support women in sports and shop Sophie's limited collection now at nicostones.com. So going into character and everything, what does it mean to be seen to you? Why is it important for these young athletes to be seen?
Well, the exposure, it's, you have kids that are very talented, that have the skill, that have the character, and that are underexposed. They are playing in high schools that, maybe that don't record their games, or they've never played AAU basketball to, play against different level of competitions. So that exposure is key. You know, they got to get out there. They got to play against other people outside of what they play in their community. To know that basketball has different levels. It's just like Division 1. There's different levels in Division 1 too. There's different levels, and the more exposure that they can gain from that, their perspective shifts. That means their training shifts. Their mind shifts of like, hey, I got to get up in the morning. I got to do this. Their discipline becomes a way of life, in terms of preparing their minds and bodies for this game, through that exposure, because they realize they can't do the same old things. They have to change their habits.
Why is it so important to have that discipline at such a young, early age, especially when you're playing sports?
people pass you. Talent only lasts so long, you know. I love the Mike Tyson quote. You do like who I when I was playing when I was a pro player, I used to do all boxing training. And I used to run in the morning at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
Oh, jeez.
Who wants to run at 4 o'clock in the morning? I don't want to get up
Nobody.
at
Not
4 o'clock
me.
in the morning.
Not
But
me.
you do it like you love it. You know what I'm saying? That's discipline. You you hate it, but you do it like you love it. You know, and that's because you know you got to do it. You know you just got to get up and you got to do it because it feels worse when you don't do it because you're not prepared, you're not ready, and then that's when you get exposed. You know, and so you got to do things that you hate and you got to do it like you love it. And that's at a young age, if you can encompass that type of grit and that type of mental toughness, by the time you get to high school and college, you're already ahead of the game. You already have the advantage because you've been doing these things at a very young age, training your mind and body at a very young age to prepare yourself for that. So by the time you get in college, everything that they say to you, you can be like, hey, that's cool. I'm on time. That means I'm early. You know, when they say, well, you're on time, you're late. No, I'm early. You know what I mean? Because you ingrained and brainwashed your mind to think those things every single day. And when you're doing that every single day, you're at an advantage to anyone that steps in front of you. And it's not because you feel like, you know, you're at the top and they're at the bottom. No, it's because you're prepared and you're ready to go. And that's a different type of or that you bring in the court. And those are the things that we're trying to teach our young people here at Star Power. Like you have to bring that sense of awe. You have to understand why you're doing what you're doing. There needs to be purpose behind it. You know, if there's purpose behind that means there's discipline. And when there's discipline, you have the advantage. And that's that love because that's that where that love comes in because you just can't like it. You gotta love it. And if you love it, you gotta hate some things. You gotta do it like you love it. So it's just you know those are the things that you gotta work towards at a very early age.
It's a good metaphor for life in itself.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and it translates over into your daily life, your relationships, when you go into the workforce, all that stuff transitions over. You know, that's why a lot of companies they hire former athletes because that's a certain type of tenacity that you just can't teach to anybody. You
For
have
sure.
that. You played 4 years in college. You know you went through some stuff to get that degree. And you know anything that comes in front of you, you're gonna be like, okay, let's get it done. You're solution oriented already. So those skills, those soft and hard skills you learn in that sports sector, that can translate into your everyday life.
For sure. Absolutely. For our viewers watching, what's next for Star Power and where can they find you online?
Well, what's next is we have our AAU team right now that's getting ready to go on, then getting ready to travel. We're not on a big circuit because it's only year two, but we're definitely building up, and we have a good group of 11 boys that are just ready to go, ready to hit the road. You can find Star Power at www.c-starpower.com. That's my website. That's c-starpower.com. You can find me on Instagram. It's starpower_international. But we're out there. We're trying to get out there, trying to let people know what's going on. I work with clients overseas as well, so just trying to get them situated, trying to get them transitioned to college. So that's ongoing as well, in addition to the AU program. And then eventually some camps are going to come soon. So we're moving and grooving. Just got to continue to put people in the right places to help.
Yep.
Exactly. Well, Chrystal, thank you so much. I'm inspired for sure. Words
Yeah.
of wisdom that you have about life and basketball in itself. You really showed how a journey can just expand into more and open doors for people that may not even know what door they're looking for. So thank you again so much for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. I appreciate you too.
Of course. And that was the Talk at Elevation. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.